Around 50% of the profits made worldwide by BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, those profits have historically been made in China, but not anymore. Their profits are flagging. They are falling incredibly quickly because the Chinese are saying, you know what, Germans, you're not as good as we thought. You know what, you're distracted. You don't know what you're doing. You're making hybrids and plug-in hybrids and vehicles with 3 transmissions and triple turbos and all this nonsensical stuff. You're making hydrogen-powered vehicles. You're making machinery with hydrogen. You're making all these bizarre claims. And that is exactly what we want you to do. Confuse yourselves, run around in circles while we take over the global automotive industry. Sales of German automakers in China are collapsing. Porsche sales are down 41% worldwide. Porsche profits have collapsed. The Volkswagen Group, exactly the same thing. Their profits have fallen to the lowest point in decades. And the German automotive industry is tearing itself apart. There are strikes today in Germany against the Volkswagen Group for having to close down 2 plants and request that staff take a 10% pay cut. If staff don't do that and these protests continue, what this means is the Volkswagen Group, who have $190 billion in debt, will be in a position that they cannot win from. I still can't believe BMW is saying this. I mean, BMW executives were polled privately by the media about 12 months ago. And they all said, basically, the future of the automotive industry is not electric cars, it's actually hydrogen. Hydrogen everything. Hydrogen trucks, hydrogen machinery, hydrogen rah, rah, rah. I'm really surprised. Now, I thought, at some point in time, BMW would figure things out. They'd say, okay, hang on a minute, actually, no one's buying hydrogen vehicles. The Toyota Mirai is dead. This dream is over. EV sales now continue to grow. They're up 30% worldwide this year. I mean, 50% of the biggest car market in the world is now electrified. It's only a matter of time. But BMW, in fact, still fully believe the future of the automobile is hydrogen. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Yes, BMW, they have manufactured an X5 powered by hydrogen. It will be on sale apparently next year. Now, I thought this was some sort of wacky, just sort of side project, but it turns out it's not really. Yesterday, there was some news articles about one of the biggest mining companies in the world purchasing $400 million worth of electric mining equipment. Fortescue, they purchased that from China. They actually made their own hydrogen-powered vehicles as well. They made their own hydrogen-powered trucks, and they compared them to their own electric-powered trucks as well. And in every instance, the electric ones were worse. They just got rid of the hydrogen ones, even though it was an enormous amount of money to invest. Sunk cost bias. They said, no, we're not going to do that. Which ones actually work better? The electric ones work so much better that they went and actually placed now hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of orders for electric mining equipment. So you would think that if hydrogen-powered vehicles of any sort were going to work, it would be in large vehicles, large hauling vehicles, large machinery. But it sounds like even mining companies don't think it makes sense. BMW has announced plans to convert the intralogistics fleet of its actual car factories from battery to hydrogen power, with a fuel cell EV forklift and tugger truck set to replace the entirety of its fleet by 2030. So at this point, they're electric. BMW is saying, no, we can improve them by making them powered by hydrogen. I don't understand any of this. To me, it's absolutely baffling. Despite sales of BMW's EVs actually taking off this year significantly, I mean, in the last 3 months, BMW sold more than 100,000 electric vehicles. More than 100,000. That was well over the numbers from Mercedes, Benz, and Audi. That would put them on track to sell around 400,000, in fact more than 400,000 electric vehicles this year. Keep in mind, BMW is not a big car company. They only sell around 2 million cars a year, right? But even they are saying, no, all that's going to change. By 2030, everything's going to be powered by hydrogen. In addition to that, their latest iX5 hydrogen fuel cell EV is going to be manufactured at their factory in in Germany, where the company plans to employ hydrogen forklifts and tuggers and all kinds of hydrogen-powered machinery. BMW's timeline is problematic. Electric says this: for starters, very little hydrogen is actually green, and the majority of conventionally available hydrogen is created using fossil fuels, more than 90% at this point in time, making them not really that environmentally friendly, but also making them quite expensive. In fact, hydrogen is around 5 times more expensive right now than electricity. So BMW, they are in a fight for their life. Their sales in China are falling, their profits are shrinking, and they're saying, you know what, let's just, the moonshot of hydrogen, let's just shoot for the moon. Seems like an enormous risk for a company that should be really thinking seriously. Forget our sunk cost bias, the fact that we've been talking about hydrogen now for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in fact 10 years. Forget that. Let's just look at this on a logical level. Anyhow, BMW's project manager, Katarina Radke, said switching production logistics from electricity to hydrogen will diversify our plant's energy mix. Diversify our plant's energy mix while optimizing logistics processes and saving valuable space. The advantage of hydrogen is that refueling is very fast, just like with conventional fuels. The filling stations required for this will be installed directly within the different production areas and do not take up much space. Well, neither do chargers, I wouldn't have thought. But anyhow, here's where it's problematic, this idea that she's mentioned, and here's where it looks like she doesn't have any idea what she's talking about. When you fill up a storage tank with a gas like hydrogen or LPG, the gas heats up as it's quickly forced into the tank, causing it to actually expand. That means the same amount of fuel takes up more physical space than it does cold, and as the gas in the tank gradually cools down, it contracts, leaving empty space in the tank. That means you can fast fill a hydrogen tank to 100% in a few minutes, but it'll eventually settle back down to around 75 to 80% full, even if you don't drive anywhere. You'll then have to slow fill the remaining capacity to avoid a similar expansion. That can take hours. It's kind of one of the reasons why you can see that there's been numerous videos in California showing people having problems with their hydrogen, filling their cars with hydrogen, right? Here's the reality. People's real world experiences. They say the hydrogen pump gets locked to the car, stuck to the car. And this is actually part of the reason why. It freezes to the car. California is not a cold place, is it? It's never cold. But the reality is, in using one of these hydrogen refueling stations, they're very problematic. They break down all the time, and they often get stuck to the vehicle. I don't believe that BMW have actually done the research and learnt that maybe this doesn't make sense. Maybe it's an investment, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, that won't actually pan out. But frankly, to me personally, I couldn't care less. I don't think BMW has much chance of survival. In fact, no, I do. BMW will survive, but not as a German car company. What will happen is what happened to Rolls-Royce and Mini. I mean, BMW, they purchased Rolls-Royce and Mini. They now own those brands. But eventually, someone like BYD or some car conglomerate in China will likely purchase BMW. And then, Minis built in China, which they are today, will be built in China by a Chinese-owned conglomerate. That's the most likely scenario. Think about it. The Chinese must be looking at these BMW doing this sort of stuff and just laughing their heads off. It's a race, right? The entire automotive industry is a competition, a daily competition to make vehicles as efficiently as possible, to make the highest profits, to make the most cars, to make cars that people want in the future, to build the right production plants, building the right production lines for the future. Not be Stellantis, try and make as much money as you can, and then basically you're screwed for the future, but to plan things out, to do the best you can for today and for tomorrow at the same time. BMW clearly isn't doing that. So these Chinese EV manufacturers and Chinese car conglomerates must be licking their lips, looking at this morsel of meat that's basically making itself more and more ready to be eaten.